Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to Cross Examinations, where everything always goes right and I never make any mistakes in my production of Jeez Louise. Hi guys. Hope you're all doing well. Today's topic, history's scapegoats. What is that all about, you ask? Well, you'll have to stick around and find out a little later in the show. Right now, we want to say hi to people coming in. As per usual, please do hit that like. I'm going to do it myself. Hit that like. Hit that share. Let's get some people in here who don't care about short people getting abused because they're not nice people. I just honestly don't care about it. I think it's moderately funny, but whatever. Aaron Alfecci didn't get in here first today. Aaron, what is going on with you? All right, let me pop out this chat. Gary Shipman, I see you there. Why don't you jump on in, my friend? And I'll turn that volume back up in case you do jump back in. And we can have a cool little hour of cross examinations. Boomer facepalm. Yeah. So let's say hello. In first place today, Mike McCollum. In second place, Aaron Alfecci. Cafe Stark pulls in a tight third. Elric Huga. David Rogers, Thunderbird. Gary Shipman. Lady Celtic Moon. At this point, I'm probably just repeating myself. So, Sketch is here. Xgal. David Peterson. What's up, everybody? Linkovich, Chomsky. Sop with Camel. That's was that a biplane from World War One? Oh, and that wasn't a biplane, was it? That was a. Is that a British plane? I forget. Remind me, Camel. Remind me. Oh, is it a biplane? Your notification on my PC flashes in a split second and disappeared, Mike. Had to go to your channel and search for the stream. I see. Your excuses are accepted, Aaron, for why you could. Oh, it's Snoopy's plane? Really? I know it because I used to play flight simulators with my dad. Jeez. You know, when oh my gosh, so long ago. And there was the Sopwith Camel, there was the Fokker. Trying to remember that was one I just remembered specifically because of the funny name. It's a funny name. So, anyways, 21 people watching now, so I don't want to jump into the actual topic, but there was something that I posted on Twitter today that I found interesting. If I can find it. Video capture device? No. There we go. This very interesting chart of the percentage of people, how couples meet over the past 80 years, right? Over the last 80 years, how people met. And the post I was referring to, or the post that I was clipping this from, it was commenting how few people met in church. But that decline is only from 12 to 8. Oh, shoot, 12 to 4%. Okay, so that's a 60% decline. But look at, like, met through family, from 28% down to 6.5%. That's huge. Look at the decline from met in school, primary or secondary school, from 27% down to 5 point something percent. crazy, crazy declines in how people are meeting. Oh, you know why? Met in primary or secondary school? Because people who met back then in the good old days fell in love, got married young. 1940? Yeah, if you're high school sweethearts, you get married, boom, done. None of this playing the field until you're 40 garbage. And then crying about why you're infertile because you've spent all your reproductive years planting seeds in infertile fields. Wah. Don't mean to be so. Whatever. Met online. Tinder. That family stat is disturbing. Yeah. All right, so let's check out Neighbors declined from 14% down to, what is that, 3%? Man, nobody talks to their neighbors anymore. Met in college from 6% up to around 2,000 to a peak of around 9.5%, and then plummeting down to about 4%. Not much of a change from 40 to 2020, but yeah, interesting. Family, coworkers went from 6% up to 20%, and now is down at 11%. So you can see that the decline of all of them, some of them were increasing, some of them were decreasing. Other than met in primary or secondary school and family, which had a fairly consistent decline since the 40s, all the other ones were increasing. Oh, well, except for, what's that one? Neighbors. And church. But as soon as the internet took over, wow, look at that skyrocket. From almost nothing all the way through the early 90s to almost 40% of people now meet online. People don't even meet through friends. Half as many people meet through friends nowadays. It's insanity. It is insanity. Oh, Ray Thulu, you got your slab Lone Star. Congratulations. Thank you. Brian says, I have just been diagnosed with diverticulitis. It's like your body is the fun police on food. I don't wish it upon my worst enemy. I have never even heard of that, Brian. The fun police on. Oh, so you can't eat anything good. Gotcha. I understand. DJ Peterson says, all the girls at my church are either too young or already married. Well. Okay. I'm trying to get on this topic here because I just find this so interesting. And it's like my nephew and his girlfriend. I was like, how did you guys meet? Tinder. I'm like, that's not a story. How do you... I mean, maybe you don't need a story to have a great relationship. I don't know what the divorce rates of the people who are meeting online are like. And honestly, I mean, it takes a lot of the guesswork out if you're trying to find a mate the way I try to find people to advertise to on Facebook. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta shut down that Facebook ad. I don't like how it's performing. Hold please. Let me see how my click-throughs are going. I don't want to spend too much money on a particular ad if it's not performing well. So I need to refresh this, see how it's going. So yeah, their stories. Oh, Tinder. And God bless them. And you like I said, you can focus like what is it? Match.com or what's that other one? I can't remember the other one. But you can click off, or Christian, interests are the same, blah 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 blah. And that's fun. Wow, that's costing me way too much. All right, let me turn that off. Yes, I want to pause my ad. Thank you very much. Sorry, when I get reminded of things, I either do them immediately or I forget about them until the next time I'm reminded of them. As people who have ordered things from me well know. Yeah, I mean, it takes, I guess it takes a lot of the guesswork out, but it also takes a lot of the fun out of it and the chemistry. I know maybe people don't think chemistry is all that important, but I don't know. What happened to falling in love at first sight? Xgal says, hard to meet Christian guys where you live. Well, I guess Xgal and David Peterson, you two need to find a place to meet. It's so hard to meet guys. I'm not sure if I would ever try Tinder. It's so hard to meet guys. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to judge anybody if they're getting together because they have their little checklist. It's funny. In the old days, there would be movies about women having checklists or men having checklists, and then like their buddy would be like, "You're an idiot. Why do you concentrate so much on all these little things? Just freaking meet somebody," and then blah blah blah. And nowadays that's what it is. That's relationship marketing. Do you match my checklist? Yes, you do. Okay, then give me your DMs. We'll chat, and then we'll talk, and then I don't know. I can't judge. I just, maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy, and I just think it's weird. My wife and I have such a great story. I actually made a comic book about it. Where's my comic? I know I have one around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Maybe I'll make this a stretch goal, but I made this comic book for me and my wife for our to hand out at our wedding. Hold on, let me turn this off real quick. Right, incredible love stories. And it has Mike and Jill. It's got the participants. It's love at first sight. Going to see Captain EO at Disneyland. First kiss, her birthday when she was 15 years old, sitting at the sunset at Loyola Marymount University where we were our art camp together. Me painting, her continuing to be a dancer, and all this fun stuff, and then us having to separate, me being all wah, and then I left this big old painting for her, and then years later I drove down to visit her in Brawley. I took my friend Brian. It was really hot. Saw each other for the first time in a couple of years, and then but it was not time, so we had to go. And then later on, she kept dancing, I kept drawing. Then I said, hey, I'm coming down to San Diego, and she said, I live in San Diego. So we met up at Comic-Con. I saw her again for the first time in years, and she had become the most beautiful woman in the world. And then we went out and partied and Is that the last? No. And then I moved down to San Diego because she lived down in San Diego, and we got together, and bam, that was it. We've been together ever since. Got engaged in a torrential downpour on the way to Disney World. Came home, told her grandmother that we were engaged, and she says, I don't see a ring. And then we went to the mall, Sawgrass Mall, and got a ring. And then, bam. Then we's got marriaged. And then, yeah, so we got a story, man. A story. You can't make one of these out of Tinder. Whatever. Then bam, kids everywhere. Shade says on Doug's stream, someone mentioned that you did the cover for Samson the Nazarite. This is accurate. Mike, comic Mike is buff. And Image. No, I was working at Image at the time, or working, publishing Immortal 2 at the time with obviously my wife as Gaijin. So I just slapped the Image logo on the front of it. During my college days, one of my buddies in the same apartment complex called to tell me witnesses were going door to door again, so I answered the door naked and they never bugged me. So bad. That's so bad. I will sometimes just invite them in and then debate the crap out of them. Mike has everything at his fingertips. His wife's comics, his tin hat, whatever. Not everything should be reduced to checklists, nor everything can be quantified. True. Your wife married now. Hey. That glorious hair. Yeah, I had that hair back then too. Lightning fan and ex-gal say, "Aw, is that a soul patch?" WK says, "Yes, guilty at one point in time." Hey, I found a picture of me on my phone, with me with a full goatee. I don't know. I don't want to look it up again. So you made that to hand out at your wedding? Yes. Everyone at my wedding got a copy of Incredible Love Stories, the manga. Oh, look how cute. Gosh, my style was horrible back then. Such a cheesy romantic. That was great. It'd just be one panel. Oh, yeah. Incredible Love Stories. Tinder. I feel like I'm bagging on my nephew. I'm not. I'm glad he's found someone. I can't get into that. It's personal stuff. But went to the mall and bought a 200-carat diamond ring. That ring is what started me on my debt. Started me down the debt hole. Yeah. Financial literacy. Things you should learn when you start making money. Actually, things you should learn before you start making money. Hugh says, I met many beautiful people on Tinder that I wouldn't have otherwise. You are hating, you old fool. Hey, okay, I'm old-fashioned. Hey, I'm almost a half a century old. Gosh, that sounds really weird. Half a century. So, whatever. No, I got, one of my best friends found his wife on, I don't know if it's Tinder. What's the other one that I'm forgetting about? The Christian one they always advertised on Fox News. I can't remember the name. I need a. All right, I'll just put this in. Did it start with a splash page? Came in late. It started with a 3/4 or 2/3 splash. I need to get some more of those glasses. I have a jacket that's kind of like that now. I could totally dress like, except I wouldn't wear those super tight pants. So I actually tie-dye bleached some jeans. Christian Mingle? eHarmony. eHarmony, that's the one I'm thinking of. Man, I've got a friend that would use eHarmony. He said after he got divorced, he's like I'm an eHarmony whore. He's all, dude, it's so easy to get laid on that site. I'm like, yeah, they promote it as like this great place for Christians to meet, and then people just use it to hook up. It's terrible. Even my other friend, sold out born again Christian, he went on, I think it was eHarmony, and he would, he was honestly looking for a real relationship. And like all these quote unquote Christian chicks that put, Christian in their profile, they would try to get it on with him. And he's like, whoa, whoa. No, this is not. So yeah, people use those things as I'm not. This is not a suggestion, but people just use those sites to hook up. It's not just to find your true love, but it's to find. It's not just to find Mr. Right. It's to find Mr. Right now. It's horrible, horrible. Pumpkins for everyone. Blackpeoplemeet.com. Is Misako my mom? Yes, she is. Online dating is full of part-time relation people. Many are basically pro-daters incapable of real relationships. Yeah, right. Were you a hippie too? No, I was kind of, yeah, moving into my John Lennon phase. Sort of out of the punk rock phase into the John Lennon phase. I had my phases. Tinder isn't expressly for hookups, but lots of people use it for that. Yeah. How do you, is there a column where you're like, not just looking to get laid versus looking for a real relationship? Because that would be great. I mean, not for me. I honestly don't care. But I don't want my kids going through that. I want them to meet people, I want them to have that love at first sight moment. This is so not anything to do with Christianity, but yeah, nobody meets in church anymore. Except for, that's not true. I mean, there's people in my church that are meeting in church. So, but I guess it's a small percentage. Just too small of a percentage. The Bible never says marriage involves a state license. That is correct. Marriage should not involve the state. Marriage is between man, woman, and God. Now, if the state wants to issue legal licenses for partnerships or what do they call those? Civil unions? That should be outside of marriage as a religious institution. And marriage is a religious institution. Making it a state institution gives the state powers it should not have over people. But that's just me being sort of a libertarian, I guess. But I think that's from my faith. I believe that from my faith too. I don't think Caesar should have had anything to do with the marriages in Judea, right? It was between men, women, and God. Kevin Ryan, Mike Miller is very, very Christian. How to get laid seminar. I'm saying this is what happens. I'm not saying this is what should happen. Our society has denigrated to the point where 40% of people are meeting on the internet. I guess if people spend 80% of their time on the internet, it only makes sense that you're going to meet. Like if DJ and ex-gal get together, they met on the internet. Weird. You can meet tons of hot women that just want your money and don't want... okay, I'm not gonna... Sopwithkiss says, I have a good friend who met his wife in World of Warcraft. They are still married and have a kid. Well, alright. It's the only way to not to get Me Too. Marriage laws came into being to prevent polygamy and prevent Farmer John from marrying his horse. Did they really? I'm curious about that now. When did marriage become I don't know if I'm wording that right. 13 facts on the history of marriage. arranged alliances. Marriage is truly an ancient institution that predates recorded history. Some cultures, parents even married one child to the spirit. What? Weird. All right. I don't. I don't think that's got all my. When did it become law that one needs a marriage license? It started in 1753 in England and Wales, and it was named the Marriage Act of 1753, or Lord Hardwicke's Marriage Act, and it called for the couple to be at least 21 years old, and if they weren't, then they needed consent of the parent. Before this law, the couple could be as young as, gosh darn it, as young as 7 years old and get married. Scary but true. They also had to get married in a church, or the marriage wouldn't be legal. Interesting. Interesting. Alright. Well, I don't want to delve too much into that. Your perspective is interesting. I don't know what the historical context or historical evidence of it is. If you want to show me something, go ahead. Mike's hooking up his mods now. Sketch says, I tried Christian Mingle. I won't lie. Don't judge me. 1400 years of certain religion marrying 6-year-olds. Yes. Marriage and common people marriage is different? Interesting. All right, let's see. Where am I? I'm about halfway in. So let's move on to the subject today, history's scapegoats. What on earth could Mike possibly mean by history's scapegoats? Bam! From ChristianHeadlines.com. Christianity is the bad guy, bemoaning the demise of the classical world. Pop-up ads go away. I should use Brave for this so I don't get that. In The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, 18th century historian Edward Gibbon blames Rome's demise, at least in part, on Christianity. He wrote, the clergy successfully preached to the doctrines of patience and pusillanimity. The active virtues of society were discouraged, and the last remains of military spirit were buried in the cloister, and a large portion of public and private wealth was consecrated to the specious demands of charity and devotion. Gibbon. Excuse me. Gibbon was making the same argument that the pagan critic Celsus made more than 1500 years earlier, arguments which most historians have largely rejected. Still, like zombies in The Walking Dead, the idea that Christianity destroyed the classical world and ushered in the Dark Ages is a notion that refuses to stay dead. In fact, a recent book, The Darkening Age, The Christian Destruction of the Classical World by Catherine Nixie, resurrects this notion that the triumph of Christianity was really the annihilation of the classical world, including its literature, philosophy, science, and art. In the book, Nixie not only depicts Christianity as a savage tyrant, she insists on the goodness of the Roman civilization it had annihilated. Historical silliness abounds in this book. For example, Nixie claims, for 2.5 centuries the Roman imperial government left Christianity alone. All these stories of Christian persecution? Well, according to Nixie, those are less that the Romans wanted to kill and more that the Christians wanted to die. Nixie even claims that Christian belief, if anything, led to a lowering of moral standards in the community. Right. So let me get this straight. The ideas of Roman philosopher Seneca that unnatural progeny we destroy. We drown every child who, at birth, are weak or abnormal, is not morally superior to the Christian author of the Didache, who wrote that one should not murder a child by abortion, nor kill it at birth. Throw in Roman slavery and the absolute subjugation of women, regardless of social class, And an obvious question I have for Nixie is whether she would really prefer to live in the classical world whose passing she laments, or the one we live in now that's been shaped by Christianity. Another important but less obvious question would be, how do we know much about the lamented classical world? The answer is Christianity. As a prime example of the savage tyranny of Christianity, Nixie points to the murder of a 5th century pagan philosopher, Hypatia, by a Christian mob which was an outrage and a black mark against the Christian faith. That's not just Nixie's opinion. The Christian emperor Theodosius launched an investigation into her murder, and most of what we know about Hypatia comes from sympathetic Christian sources. The same is true of the above-mentioned Celsus. The only reason we know of his scathing criticisms of Christianity is because they were faithfully preserved by the church father Origen. While some Christians did destroy pagan art and repress pagan literature, they came nowhere near to destroying the classical world. On the contrary, Christianity preserved its greatest achievements, not only in philosophy, but also in science and literature. As Jeremiah Johnson documents in his book Unimaginable, Christianity made the world that we all take for granted today possible. It wasn't always pretty, and certainly there was plenty to regret in Christian history, but thank God Christian morality did supplant classical pagan morality. The very idea that human beings are created equal, that we share a common dignity, that we possess unalienable rights that would have been laughable to the ancient Romans. These ideas owe their cultural existence only to Christianity. The fact that people think otherwise only proves that the real zombies out there are the arguments and historically revised assertions. Sorry, I was trying to get out of there. What can I say to that? But yeah, can you guys hear my children screaming in the background? It's really annoying me. I think they're watching a video or something. Why did my screen just get all dark? Mike almost did an Edwin Lone Star. Ho! Oh my gosh, they are being so loud. Wow. I can hear Mike now. What did he do? I talked into the microphone. Hold on a second. I'm going to zoom this up a little bit. It's getting hard for me to read in my old age. Why do I talk and you cough? I cough because I got some coffee in going down the wrong pipe. I blame Christians for trying to take Santa away from Coca-Cola. Dragon says, that sounds like nonsense. Christians destroyed the Library of Alexandria, which was terrible, but they didn't destroy the ancient world. I'm going to look that up. The burning. The burning. The burning. The first person blamed for the destruction of the library is none other than Julius Caesar himself. In 48 BC, Caesar was pursuing Pompey into Egypt when he was suddenly cut off by an Egyptian fleet at Alexandria. Greatly outnumbered and in enemy territory, Caesar ordered the ships in the harbor to be set on fire. The fire spread and destroyed the Egyptian fleet. Unfortunately, it also burned down part of the city, the area where the great library stood. Caesar wrote of starting the fire in the harbor, but neglected to mention the burning of the library. Such an omission proves little, since he was not in the habit of including unflattering facts while writing his own history. But Caesar was not without public detractors. If he was solely to blame for the disappearance of the library, it is very likely significant documentation of the affair would exist today. The second story of the library's destruction is more popular, thanks primarily to Edward Gibbon's The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. Oh, the one who blames Christianity for everything. The story is also a tad more complex. Theophilus was the patriarch of Alexandria from 385 to 412 AD. During his reign, the temple of Serapis was converted into a Christian church, probably around 391 AD, and it is likely that many documents were destroyed then. The temple of Serapis was estimated to hold about 10% of the overall library of Alexandria's holdings. After his death, his nephew Cyril became patriarch. Shortly after that, riots broke out wherein Hierax, a Christian monk, was publicly killed by the order of Orestes, the city's prefect. Orestes was said to be under the influence of a Hypatia, a female philosopher and daughter of the last member of the Library of Alexandria, although it should be noted that some count of Hypatia herself as the last head librarian. Alexandria had long been known for its violent and volatile politics. Christians, Jews, and pagans all lived together in the city. One ancient writer claimed that there was no people who loved a fight more than those of Alexandria. Immediately after the death of Hierax, a group of Jews who had helped instigate its killing lured more Christians into the street at night by proclaiming that the church was on fire. When the Christians rushed out, the largely Jewish mob slew many of them. After this, there was mass havoc as Christians retaliated against both Jews and pagans, one of which was Hypatia. The story varies slightly depending on who tells it, but she was taken by the Christians, dragged through the streets, and murdered. Some regard the death of Hypatia as the final destruction of the library. Others blame Theophilus for destroying the last of the scrolls when he razed the temple of Serapis prior to making it a Christian church. Still, others have confused both incidents and blamed Theophilus for simultaneously murdering Hypatia and destroying the library though it is obvious Theophilus died sometime prior to Hypatia. The final individual to get blamed for the destruction is the Muslim Caliph Omar. In 640 AD, the Muslims took the city of Alexandria. Upon learning of a great library containing all the knowledge of the world, the conquering general supposedly asked Caliph Omar for instructions. The Caliph has been quoted as saying of the library's holding, "They will either contradict the Quran, in which case they are heresy, or they will agree with it, so they are superfluous." So allegedly, all the texts were destroyed by using them as tinder for the bathhouses of the city. Even then, it was said to have taken 6 months to burn all the documents. But these details, from the Caliph's quote to the incredulous 6 months it supposedly took to burn all the books, weren't written down until 300 years after the fact. These facts condemning Omar were written by Bishop Gregory Bar Hebraeus, a Christian who spent a great deal of time writing about Muslim atrocities without much historical documentation. So, why did the Library of Alexandria burn? Unfortunately, most writers from the Plutarch, who apparently blamed Caesar, to Edward Gibbon, a staunch atheist who liked very much to blame the Christians and blamed Theophilus, to Bishop Gregory, who was particularly anti-Muslim and blamed Omar, all had an axe to grind and consequently must be seen as biased. Probably everyone mentioned above had some hand in destroying some part of the library's holdings. The collection may have ebbed and flowed as some documents were destroyed and others were added. For instance, Mark Antony was supposed to have given Cleopatra over 200,000 scrolls for the library long after Julius Caesar is accused of burning it. So we could probably rule out Caesar. Probably. It is also quite likely that even if the museum was destroyed with the main library, the outlying daughter library at the Temple of Serapis continued on. Many writers seem to equate the Library of Alexandria with the Library of Serapis, although technically they were in two different parts of the city. The real tragedy, of course, is not the uncertainty of knowing who to blame for the library's destruction, but that so much of ancient history, literature, and learning was lost forever. So, it's gray. Well, from that reading, even if you blame the Christians, they only burn 10%. But the absolute destruction of all of the scrolls, that legitimately, I still blame the Muslims. So they blamed the Muslims before the religion was invented. No. Didn't you hear it? It was after 650? 650 AD. Islam was like 500, or Muhammad was like 500 AD, or 5th century. But at any rate, yeah, it is the loss of that information that sad, but I wouldn't blame Christianity for it. The Library of Alexandria needed to burn. No, Josh. No. Doug just broke 600K. Man, he's got a half a day left too. I wonder if he'll hit 650. That would be insane. Gosh darn it, this window's bugging me now. The craziness. Where did that go? I started reading a thing and it disappeared. Gosh, I hate this. Oh, the craziness of Alexandria was the result of one specific Christian making a power grab. He was like a cult leader, and many Christians of the time denounced. Okay, something's wrong with this. All right, denounce it. Ugh. Can you guys hear that? Or hopefully it's muffled enough that you can't hear all the screaming coming from the living room. WK says Christians lowered the standards of a people known for wild orgies and gladiatorial slaughter. Yeah, apparently. YouTube thinks we're all cat-owning incels. I own cats. Not an incel though. Sounds like the black hole, the heck hole at Disney that EVS was talking about. Oh, the background. Dragon says the ancient world was destroyed because of a failing economy and stagnant culture that wasn't using the technology and research they had. I don't know. I mean, Rome had some great technology, but I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. Interesting discussion. I don't see the Roman Empire as having fallen. The Western Roman Empire sort of broke up into little, city-states and started fighting each other instead of building. But Rome moved to Constantinople, right? Rome moved to Constantinople. They moved Rome didn't move, but Rome did. I mean, Constantinople became the capital of the Roman Empire, and I don't think they were in any kind of a state of decline at all, as far as I can remember, until they fell under attack by Islam for centuries and centuries. The Western Roman Empire, like I said, sort of fractured back into its little warring city-states, and then they were not united again until, because the Eastern Roman Empire was under attack, one pope finally called for all of the Western Roman Empire to unite under crusade to fight back against Islam. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of ironic, actually. So Islam was the cause of maybe the decline, maybe the end of the Eastern Roman Empire. Actually, they were the cause of the end of the Eastern Roman Empire. But they were also, because of this, the cause of the unification and thus the reigniting of advancement in the Western Roman Empire. Well, I don't know how much. Then they all fell under the church. They all fell under the control of the Pope. And then it was kind of. And then it was kind of so for a while there. But ultimately it all worked out. It's called the fall of the Roman Empire, but the reality is that it never fell. It just degraded in its central authority, but the imperial bloodline still ruled the faction of Ares. If you're only talking about the Western Roman Empire, right? But the Roman Empire moved. It never fell. It just moved, and then the Western Empire was just sort of ignored, I guess, to the point where it less so much fallen as just as going back to their tribalism, if you want to call it that, their principalities, their kingdoms. It's like America. It's like no, I guess it's not like America. I was just thinking it's like Washington D.C. is all the way on the other side of the country, right? And so California is over here. I guess it's not that different, because it's a lot different because we're so connected through the internet, through airplanes and whatnot. But in a day and age where it would have taken to get from Constantinople back to Rome, it would have taken you, a month or more months, right, of arduous travel. It's a little harder to maintain control of France from Constantinople than it is to take control of France from Rome. Because it's like France from Rome, you're like, France starts getting out of hand, and you're in Rome, you're like, let's go. 2 weeks later, you're in France, and you're like, right? So, slight difference. Let's see. Constantinople is more fun to say. Yeah. Eastern Roman Empire was largely conquered by Muslims after it had a huge battle that drained all of the empire's resources, and then its land shrunk over the next 1,000 years. Yeah, but they were sort of in a golden age in Constantinople for a while. When was it? That was 300, and then Islam started making noise in the 500s. So it had about 200 years. It could have been just doing its own thing. Nothing degrading. I don't know. I might have to go back and reread all that stuff. Mike, they would have former Roman slaves act as guards in foreign lands, so they would retain Roman culture. What was the topic, Jay Hamilton? Oh, it was history's scapegoats, which is Christianity is the bad guy bemoaning the demise of the classical world, and how that's actually inaccurate. Let's see, should not say empire, rather that is a specific period of rule. Why did Constantinople get the works? That's nobody's business but the Turks. Rome was pretty much ruins for hundreds of years in that period, with people living in and around the remains of the past. Which era are you talking about? I don't know. They did start tearing it. I wonder if the decline started as soon as they moved the capital to Constantinople. And I wonder why they moved it. I should go back and look up why they moved the capital to Constantinople. I mean, I've been to Rome. It's nice. Italy. I love Italy. I love the Mediterranean. Constantinople. I don't know. When Columbus set sail, there were still people alive who remembered the last vestige of Rome finally falling. That was 1492. Constantinople or the capital was moved to Constantinople in 360 or something like that. No, now I gotta look that up. Uh, 324. 324. Because it was Byzantium before that. All right, so he just took over Byzantium, which is another great Greek city. Yeah. Maybe he just liked the Greeks better than the Romans. I don't know. Hard to say. I gotta do a refresher course on this era of history. It's been a bit. Constantinople was better trade position between the West and the East. There you go. The capital moved to Constantinople because it was where the trade bordered skirmishes were. The West was pacified. Yeah. But see, that's what happens. You leave the West and the West crumbles. Roman Empire. I know, I'm like thinking about climate. Like, Rome's really nice. I bet you Constantinople wasn't as nice as Rome. It's probably like, that's why I don't leave San Diego. It's terrible. They moved it because the emperor converted to Christianity and wanted the capital not to be Rome to accommodate the growth of the new religion. Really? I hadn't heard that. Kevin also says, take conquered soldiers, enslave them in Rome for 7 years, let them learn Roman culture, then send them home to spread culture to their families. Interesting. In fact, the method by which Roman culture was retained in foreign conquered lands is in Machiavelli. Too many GMOs in Rome. All right, we got a few minutes left. Anybody have any questions, comments, or prayer requests? Prayer requests. Let's see. We got 6.5 minutes left. 6.5 minutes. Wait. Oh, gosh darn it! I opened the wrong chat. Talking about punching people at Disneyland. I'd compare it more to the British Empire shrinking and splitting into its Commonwealth divisions without so much central authority. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna hold authority over a foreign land, then you gotta have peeps there. Gotta have peeps there. It's just hard to do. Climate did have a significant role of the fall. Early in the 5th century, one of the vents near Krakatoa blew, possibly the largest eruption in human history. They heard it in Japan. Ooh. That eruption altered worldwide weather patterns. Every empire on Earth fell or fragmented in that century. So it was climate change. DJ says, the best way to take over the world is with culture, not war. My friend and his wife just bought a house. Not really a prayer request, but more a praise request. All right, well, hallelujah. Completely off topic. I have watched Order of the Green Hand videos until I'm sick of the name Ashara Dane. That's too funny. All knees bend toward Rome, but not Francie boy. Nunya says, Rome, the city, fell after multiple attacks by previously conquered people who demanded more and more, and when denied, destroyed the aqueducts and buildings. Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible. Yeah, but I just repeat myself. Rome moved. The city, it was all Rome, right? Right? It was all Rome. The city of Rome. That's weird, huh? That'd be like if Washington, D.C. was called America, right? But then they moved the capital of America to San Francisco. It'd still be the capital of America, and it'd still be America, but it would no longer be in America. So Rome moved to Constantinople. And then, yeah, again, Rome, the city itself, it did go into decline. The reason the empire broke up is that Rome was in massive debt and put the people they owed money in charge of pieces of land. Then at some point, those guys told the emperor to get bent. And eventually they all fell under the power of the Holy Roman Empire, the Catholic Church. Which is interesting because the whole... I don't know, I was watching a thing about the gal... I don't need to get into that. We don't have time. Did you know, Mike, the American Emperor was from San Francisco, Norton? I look it up. It's a flash fact. The American Emperor? I don't even know what you're talking about, Kevin. It's a shame they didn't have Bitcoin back then, right, Mike? It is. It is. Actually, let's see how Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin! Oops. Coin market cap. Hey, Bitcoin's back up to 11,892. Woo! Can't complain. Can't complain. What are we talking about? Not much withheld. We're actually about to wrap up. If you have any last-minute questions or comments, hit me up because I'm going to wrap this stream up in a couple of minutes here. I do want to thank everyone for joining me today on Cross-Examinations. And please, hey, if you guys have friends, family, acquaintances who you think would benefit from being a part of our little association here, I'd love to grow this. I mean, I'd love to grow my channel, but more particularly, I would love to grow this ministry. I take an hour out of my day every day, an hour away from, well, not away from my family. He's right there. But an hour I can spend doing all the other stuff I have to do every day. But I take this time out for God, for you guys. I don't accept. Well, I'll accept super chats, but I don't accept tithes and offerings. This is not a church. This is me donating my time to you guys. And so, if you could do your part as part of this fellowship, and tell somebody about it. Let somebody know that hey, there's this really fun, interesting, handsome guy on the internet that they just kidding. Then please do it is the church's job to grow the church. I am just one small voice. I have only so many friends in real life, and I can't get them all to come join this ministry. I'd love to see this ministry get regular 100 people watching every day. We usually get around 50 to 60. Sometimes we'll bump up to 100. But if every single one of you guys could convince one other person to join us regularly, man, we would double our fellowship. How radical would that be? That would be some awesome stuff. So please do, and don't be like, I don't know anybody. Everybody knows somebody. Everybody knows somebody. I don't want to hear that excuse. So that's your job. And I want to thank you all for being here once again. Thank you for spending your time with me. I know you have other things you can be doing too, but 16 years old, and that's exactly what I look like. And there's my wife and her mom and her brother. You did real good, sissy. So yeah, that's Comic Book Mike. Thank you all for being here. Love you, and see you soon. I'll be doing some other streaming today. I'm not sure what, but hey, go down in the description, grab some comics. That's how you do support me, not through this ministry, but through my business. So thank you very much. Oh, and Elijah dropped the price of his board game, his awesome board game, Masters of Mayhem. As you've seen it in the bottom, support Masters of Mayhem. That's my boys' board game. Check it out in the description. There's a fantastic video in there. I don't want to play it right now because I just don't want to. But click on that, check it out, share that with some friends too, and let's get my son, get his business going. So thanks everybody. Love you guys. I'll see you later. Aloha. God bless.